Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. This is our Manchester United versus Aston Villa preview. Remember, this is on Boxing Day at 8 p.m. Will Manchester United get a late Christmas gift from Santa Claus? Probably not. But look, let's look into it. I've got my predicted lineup underneath the league table, but we need to start here. This is Manchester United in 8th against Aston Villa, who are in joint 2nd. There is an 11-point gap between these two teams. If Man United lose, it becomes a 14-point gap. Embarrassing. Very embarrassing for Manchester United. So how do they bounce back from yet another disappointing defeat, obviously against West Ham this time? Well, I think he bounces back by picking a better team for a start. Look, this is how I think he will line up. It's not how I would line up. I don't expect to see any change in the midfield, apart from maybe he'll rotate 18-year-old Mainu for Amrabat for some fresh legs. Hopefully, Rafael Varane will be back for the 19-year-old at the back, which makes us stronger in those positions. But I don't think he's going to divert away from this midfield. And I think what we've got is Erik ten Hag, but we've also got Erik ten Stubborn. I just don't think he will change. I don't think he is a manager that likes to be told what to do, and I think he will stick with it. And look, what I will concede is at some point we will score goals and Scott McTominay will score. But are you at that point now where you'd go, well, he's been proven right? How many bad games have we had using McTominay and Bruno? Too many. How many games have we lost because of that? We beat Brentford because of McTominay. He got 2 late goals. I think he scored against Sheffield United as well. But the reality is, it's not viable. It's not good enough. And actually, I think Aston Villa are switched on in the midfield enough to deal with us if we try and play that way. Aston Villa, though, interestingly, away from home, they've actually conceded a lot of goals. 16 goals they've conceded away from home. Man United have only conceded 9. So Villa do concede goals away from home. It is their Achilles heel. They are doing fantastically well at the moment, but away from home, they've had some pretty bad results. In fact, recently against Brentford, they were actually losing 1-0, and it was a red card for Ben Mee that changed that game when they went on to win. So I think that Villa away from home can be got at. No Matty Cash because he got a yellow card, he's suspended. Kamara is still suspended. Pau Torres is injured. So, and it's Boxing Day. You know, you never know. The Old Trafford crowd will hopefully be behind the manager and behind the players. But you never know what's going to happen in a game like that. We've had some bad Boxing Day results in the past. I remember getting turned over by, was it a striker called Bailey for QPR? I think he scored a hat-trick many years ago. So you never know what you're going to get, and you never know what you're going to get with Manchester United. But we talk about the goals that Villa have conceded. Villa have conceded a lot of goals from away from home. I think they've conceded more goals away from home than anyone else in the top half of the table. Manchester United have scored less goals than anyone else in the top half of the table. So it's that could balance itself out. And remember, we haven't scored in 4 games, which is just despicable, really. So he's got to be working on that. I actually think when you look at that lineup, that's pretty much how United have been lining up as a front 5 for most games this season. Not maybe the change in personnel, but that's how we've been doing it. I think you have to look at, it's not just the personnel as well. I don't like 2 attacking midfielders. It can be McTominay and Bruno. It can be Mount and Eriksen. I don't like it. It doesn't matter. But I think it has a massive detrimental effect on the number 9, whether that's Martial, whether it's Rashford, whether it's Højlund. They get no service. And I think they get no service because it's too crowded in the final 5. I think you've got Anthony and Garnacho, who will put a cross in, but also like to have a shot. You've got McTominay trying to get in the box. You've got Bruno trying to have a shot. There's nobody in that front 5 who is actually thinking, my job is to create chances for Rasmus. And it's just congested and it doesn't work. And the fact that we're basically playing 2 attacking midfielders and we haven't scored for 4 games, and we've only scored 10 goals at home all season, and we're joint 14th at home with our record for that with Everton, is just incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And he needs to change it. He needs to change it. He needs to change the structure. He needs to change the pattern of play. We can't transition from defence to attack. The gap from the defence to the attack is massive because everyone's trying to push forward. And Aston Villa will be a very unforgiving team. Remember, Aston Villa play a high line as well. Very, very high line. And I think against United, that could cause us huge problems because that will pin us back. And I think this is really interesting. It will always come down to who scores first as well. I think with United, we saw it in the West Ham game. I don't massively disagree with what Ten Hag said, that we're in the ascendancy and then we lose. But we weren't in the ascendancy against West Ham to the point that we deserved to win. I think it was an even-ish game where we were slightly on top at the end of the first half and at the start of the second half without being threatening, if that makes sense. And West Ham created a good goal and they scored it. We should have stopped it, and Arna should have saved it, but they scored a good goal, and then then we downed tools. I don't think we can complain about the loss to West Ham in the sense that we were unlucky. We're just not creating enough chances, and that is why we are where we are. We're not defending well enough. The midfield is wide open, and we're not creating enough, and that's going to kill you as a football team. Of course it is. But I think that with Villa, it just depends how they approach this game, because they drew with Sheffield United. That might be an inspiration to them. It might also be a problem for them, and you just not, United at some point will bounce back. We're not dreadful, but it will depend on the personnel that he's going to pick. I've put Varane in there because if he's not playing, maybe we get a shock that Harry Maguire comes back. But if he's not playing, then that obviously weakens us a lot. I've brought Dalot back in because I think we've got to try and go forward. We can't defend at home, and Wan-Bissaka defensively we know he's decent, but look, the thing about Wan-Bissaka is I think we're living off last season again. I think Wan-Bissaka's another player that's just fell off. Maybe it's volume of games, I don't know, but Wan-Bissaka's not able to sustain what he was doing last season for 6 months. So we want to go on the front foot. I'd get Dalot and Shaw down those full-back positions, trying to push forward. You need Varane in the team to do that. I think I'd play Mainu, but I think he might just rotate it for freshness and bring Amrabat in. He's obviously going to pick McTominay and Bruno. And then in the front three, Rasmus, if he's fit's got to play. He's not the problem. I think Anthony off the right-hand side is, hit and miss, but probably the best option there at the moment. He might go with Rashford at left wing. Villa play a high line, so he might look for that pace of Rashford, which, again, is logical to do that. I've got no problem with him doing that. But my big issue is that there is a bigger problem at Manchester United, and I feel that we're doing this survival football at the moment. And look, let me be completely blunt here. The football has been crap this season. It's been crap. First half against Arsenal away was reasonable. First half an hour against Spurs was reasonable. But the majority of the football, I would say 95% of our football this season, in all the games that we've played up to Christmas, has been crap. There's no rhythm. I was watching United against West Ham. This is the same as I was watching us many times this season. And I watch a lot of football, and it's unfair to judge Man United against Liverpool or Arsenal. I want to, but it's unfair to judge us against them because they're better coached with better mentalities and better players and better consistency. But even if you watch Spurs, even if you watch Everton, many clubs in the Premier League, no matter where they are in the league, even Luton, they've got a way of playing. It might not be pretty, but Luton know what they're doing. They know what their strengths are. They know what everybody's meant to be doing. And, they've had some reasonably good results, Luton, with very limited players because they're coached well and they're playing together for the badge. And Manchester United, I watch us all the time and I'm like, when the ball goes to Bruno, I don't think he's got a bloody clue where anyone is. I don't even know if he's thinking that he wants to know where anybody is. He's got in his mind what he's going to do. And it might be a no-look 40-yard pass or cross, but there's no care or attention in the way that we deal with the ball. Now, you contrast that with Spurs or Brighton or Arsenal, and there is a synergy about the way that they play. There is a plan about the way they play. They take care of the ball. We don't take care of the ball. You can simplify this to a very basic level. Obviously, a lot of football clubs work on patterns, and really what you want to do is you want to be telepathic. You want to know when you've got the ball that even as a right back, you want to know that your left winger is going to hog the touchline so you can switch it 50 yards. You want to know that your right winger is going to come towards you so you can knock it into them and overlap. You want to know that one of the midfielders is going to drop, one of them is going to get close to the striker. You want to know that your striker is going to twist and run into the right channel. All those things are there. And all those things are in a player's head when you're coached and mentally correct. Man United haven't got a bloody clue. We don't have a clue. And the simplest thing to do, no matter what your tactics are, whether it's Luton tactics or Pep tactics, is take care of the ball. And what taking care of the ball is knowing that that ball is in our possession and we're going to keep it in our possession until it's in the back of the net. And Man United have failed to do this for a decade. We don't look after the ball. It's like a hot potato. Nobody really knows where anybody is. and nobody really knows what we're doing. And when you actually break it down and try and take the emotion out of United, like I've done a few times this season, I've not done West Ham, I can't, it's Christmas, but I've watched games back and tried to just forget I'm a United fan and just look at the football. And the amount of times I'm looking at the opposition, I thought Newcastle did it really well against St James's Park. The way that they pass and move, I saw Joel Linton do it, I saw Bruno Guimaraes do it. They've got it in a really difficult position. They'll roll the ball forward to their striker, which I think was Isaac, and then they're on the move. And Isaac instinctively just lays it off 5 yards into space. And you're like, that's not a pass. It's that synergy. It's that telepathy. They knock it into the striker. He lays it off 5 yards, angled into space, but the midfielder moves on to it. It's not even a pass to the midfielder. It's just, it's that chemistry. And they look after the ball. And they've got plans of what they're going to do with the ball. You watch Man United and you're like, you see it with the centre-backs. You see it with Mainu. You see it with Amrabat. You see it with Casemiro. You see it with Bruno. You see it with the wingers. They're waiting for something to happen. It's like Garnacho gets the ball, has a look, and then Luke Shaw runs past, says, give me the ball, and he'll go, oh, yeah, I'll do that. But they shouldn't have to do that. They should know what's going to happen. And is that about coaching? Well, of course it's about coaching, but it's also about the mentality of the players. Paul Scholes was right. You know, when you're on the football pitch and you're in the final third, you can't coach them what to do. It's instinctive. They're either going to be looking for a pass or they're going to look for a shot. Doesn't matter how many times you train them on the training ground. And unfortunately, it's a mentality thing. Manchester United's biggest problem is, and we spoke about this on the morning show, is the ability of the players to deal with the situation in relation to how football is played now. We haven't got enough players who can take care of the ball. We've got some fantastic flair players. Bruno's a great flair player. Rashford on his game is a great flair player. Anthony's a great flair player. When you look at what he did at Ajax, obviously this is the Premier League. Garnacho's got the potential to be a great flair player. But we haven't got anybody who's a take care player. We haven't got anybody who takes care of the ball. We haven't got an Odegaard. You know, we haven't got a Phil Foden. We haven't got a Kevin De Bruyne. We haven't got a Rodri. We haven't got enough players. And it's not, one's not enough either. You need 4 or 5. We don't take care of the ball. If you really want to analyse what the problems are with Manchester United, we don't take care of the ball. And that is why we're a hard watch. There are too many players who play on the edge. And because they play on the edge, they're inconsistent. They're not consistent. You take care of the ball, your game will become more consistent. If you are a player that when you get the ball, you're thinking, right, I know what I'm doing here. I know where my players are. And my job is to get that ball up the pitch and put the ball in the back of the net. And we know how we're going to do it. And I know where he's going to be and I know where he's going to be. Now, obviously, Ten Hag can point at injuries. I think, you know, stability of last season made us a little bit better on the ball. But principles, we don't have the right players. And actually, people will say, well, Ten Hag spent 400 million. I don't think a lot of the players that he's bought are the problem. You know, I look at Martinez, he can take care of the ball. Anthony's done it at Ajax. Rasmus is very young, and I think he can do it. Casemiro certainly can do it. Eriksen can do it. Mason Mount we've not seen enough of. Onana is a ball-playing goalkeeper. So the funny thing is, people criticise Ten Hag's signings, but actually the majority of them are players that have proven they can take care of the ball. For different reasons, it's not working out. The problem that United have got is the same problem that Jose Mourinho highlighted. There are players at the football club that were there when he was there that are still here now. And there are other players that have been brought in that need to that just can't play the brand of football that you need to play in the modern game. When you've got people like Brighton, Spurs, Newcastle, you know, teams that are not even in the title race but can play, take care of the ball football, and United can't do it. It's one of the biggest issues that people are too lazy to do this, though. We will do it because we're fans, but you're not going to get a pundit doing this. It's too long. You know, I've spent 5 minutes talking about it because it's crucial. They're not going to do that because, you know, it's got to be some, let's blame it on an individual. Let's blame it on a manager. Let's blame it on a player. But this has been going on for United for a long time. The football's been shit for years because we don't have enough players who can take care of the ball. They're not confident on the ball. They're scared. They panic. And that's something else as well. You know, panicking. Again, doesn't matter what you've been taught on the training ground. Panic. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to do it. Just play the wrong pass. And it happens all the time. Look, high line of Aston Villa. Let's get into what we predict the score is going to be. High line of Aston Villa is potentially something to exploit. You may well drop Garnacho and put Rashford in. You can't play him down the middle, by the way. He'll get bullied. Garnacho might get dropped for Rashford. He hasn't been playing that well the last 2 games, so you could argue it's a case. Get into the comments. Would you drop Garnacho for Rashford in this game? Are you happy with this team? What are your thoughts about what I said about the way that we play football and how we improve that? But he might play Rashford for that pace over the top. I'd get that. I'd understand that. There's 2 big problems with it. One, Rashford looks like he's not in the right space mentally and physically at the moment. You can question why that is. Is he a problem? Is he injured? I don't know, but he's, at the end of the day, even I, as someone who, thinks Rashford gets too much criticism, and I'm somebody who likes Rashford, the position we're in at the moment, the season he's having, it's Christmas. He's on 350 grand a week. He was our best player last year, and this season's been absolutely abysmal. You can't be scared to say Marcus Rashford needs to take a long, hard look at himself, because it's unacceptable the way he's playing, and he deserves the criticism. And that's the situation. Would I pick him against Aston Villa? Well, that's one concern, is what I've just said there. The second concern is maybe Garnacho didn't play well against West Ham, but Rashford's been dreadful when he's come on. And look at what happened against West Ham. So that's the risk, isn't it? Do you go down to 10 players if you pick Rashford? So if I was the manager, I'd be seriously having a chat with Rashford and trying to understand if it's worth starting him against Aston Villa, because it's not worth bringing him on at the moment. So he might make that change for pure pace. And remember, Matty Cash is not available, so they're not going to have their first choice right back. So it might be something we can exploit. Result-wise, I wouldn't be surprised if we win this game. Maybe I'm deluded. I've not had a drink yet. But I just think, Villa's away record isn't great. Man United, everyone expects us to lose. Villa are having a great season. I wouldn't be surprised if United got a draw, although we haven't drawn at home this season yet. I think we've won 5 and lost 5. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a result here. 2 big games, Villa, and then we've got Forest on Saturday. I wouldn't be surprised if we got a result here. But what I will say is, and what I always say is, it will come down to who scores first. Whoever scores first in this game, I think, wins the game. Because if United concede, we're in this incredible position at the moment, and it's been happening all season, and it happened last season as well. And it exposes, again, I would say to Jim Radcliffe, look at the mentality of these players. You need to change them. Some of them are good players, but they've just got weak mentality. These players concede a goal and mentally give in. I mean, imagine if you'd had these players in the Bayern Munich final in the Nou Camp. And United have always been the team that you never write off. Well, certainly were under Sir Alex. And we've somehow collected a group of players that when they concede, they give in. So if Villa score first, I think it's curtains. But if we can score first, I think, the crowd will react. And I think it will come down to that. And it's sad, isn't it, that whoever scores first in a United game sort of dictates the way it is going to go. But I've just got a funny feeling we might do it, I mean, and one other thing as well, get in the comments about this. Would you drop Onana? I've been saying for a few weeks now I would. I don't know why he keeps getting away with it. There is this talk of clean sheets and, mythical stuff that he's the best goalkeeper in the league. No way. No, Alisson and Vicario are way, way better. But he's off to the AFCON next month. He cost us another goal against West Ham. Is it not time? Is it not time to get Binder in goal and start using him? Or are we just going to wait like I think he's going to do? I think he's going to use him against Wigan as the first game. But there is a case to say maybe Onana should be dropped. I mean, he's got to do a lot better on that Bowen shot. It's weak goalkeeping that probably wasn't exposed enough. Anyway, get your thoughts in below. Get your comments in below. And also, of course, Merry Christmas to all of you. Don't forget, if you are a member, you can check out our Christmas show. The second part of it is now up. What a fact. I told you it was a brilliant section with Ben Foster. We basically sat there on stage in Manchester a couple of weeks ago, and I said, Ben, I'm going to go through all these players at United. Keep or sell if you want to build a team that can challenge Man City. So it wasn't like keep or sell realistically. It was like, how many of these players are actually good enough to be part of a future that leads us to a title? And the amount of players that didn't make it was fascinating. So you can join the members club by scanning the QR code or clicking the join button, and you can listen to and watch that. If you're struggling for good stuff to watch over Christmas, check it out. Also, don't forget to watch the final of the YouTuber Knockout Wembley Cup with Goldbridge in goal. Enjoyed that. And tomorrow we've got the best bits going up at midday, which is always an interesting watch, I know. Take care, everyone. Get your comments in below about the match. A few things to discuss there. I really enjoyed the bit about taking care of the ball because I don't think people talk about that enough. Merry Christmas, and to all a good night. I will speak to you soon. Take care.